Okay, now to a big concern for Arsenal ahead of the North London derby this weekend. Yeah, the injuries are piling up for Arsenal. Their captain Martin Odegaard suffered an ankle injury during Norway's win over Austria. Odegaard had to be helped from the pitch after injuring his ankle, with the Norway boss Stale Solbakken saying after the game that it doesn't look good. Arsenal are ready without the suspended Declan Rice for Sunday's game against Tottenham. While speaking to Norwegian broadcaster TV2, Team Dr. Ola Sand gave a brief update saying this: Martin is doing quite well now. He got a small ankle sprain. Ankle sprains are difficult to deal with straight away, so we almost have to see how things go forward. We will examine him when we are back at the hotel. Right, let's speak to James about this then. Not great news for Arsenal fans is this, because it's not the first injury or suspension that they've had in the last few days. No, and in terms of Odegaard, this is a real concern for Arsenal considering the impact he's had over the course of the last 3 years he's been there since joining in 2021. He's been pretty much ever present in that Arsenal team. In fact, over the course of the last 2 seasons and then the first few games of this season, he's missed just 4 Premier League matches, which shows just how important he's been to Arsenal. He's been in the PFA Team of the Year the past 2 seasons as well. We can look at how he compares to the other Arsenal midfielders and the other Arsenal players. You can see his impact when it comes to his goal-scoring ability. Third when it comes to goals and assists, and also crucially as well, we look at the bottom of the screen there, possession 1, and the final third pass into the box, he's the first, so we can see he's made such a big impact in terms of keeping Arsenal ticking in the middle of the park, also winning the ball back heart of the pitch and creating those chances. And without Declan Rice there this weekend as well, you have to fear for Arsenal. I think when you see Martin Odegaard at the start of this season, his stats haven't been that impressive in terms of there's not been any goals or assists. But when you watch him in the flesh, he's an unbelievable player. He is the heartbeat of that Arsenal team. Yes, you've got Saka there. Yes, you've got Havertz. You've got the brilliant centre-backs and the goalkeeper. But Martin Odegaard keeps that team ticking together. So Arsenal fans, fingers crossed that it's not too bad, because there's mixed reports there at this moment in time. Is it a twisted ankle? Could he recover in time for Sunday? That seems difficult, but whether or not it's a long-term injury, especially what's on the horizon, it is a concern. So no Rice, no Odegaard. How are you feeling about this? Fine, that was high pitch, wasn't it? It's going to be a real test of the manager, isn't it, and his resources. How do we think the squad's going to line up then? Well, there's a huge hole in Arsenal's midfield, potentially with Odegaard out. We wait to see what happens. We'll speak to Mikel Arteta on Friday, and he tends to not give a huge amount away in press conference. He'll be playing his cards close to his chest, but he'll be absolutely desperate to get Odegaard back at Arsenal's training ground today to assess that injury, but with Declan Rice suspended for the game, it doesn't mean that he's going to have to use his squad. We need to bear in mind the options Arsenal have in that area in the centre of the park, and Michael Moreno, the signing who came in a few weeks ago, he's out for a month due to an injury suffered on the training pitch. The 2 natural options would be Thomas Partey, Jorginho, who's been really effective for us when he's featured, but he's not played a single minute in the Premier League for Arsenal so far this season. There's also other potential options. Kai Havertz was signed initially mainly as a number 8, and he played there for a significant number of minutes there last season, but he is excelling now as a striker for Arsenal, so whether or not Arteta wants to tinker with him, Kai Havertz has been tinkered so much his career in terms of where he's playing across the pitch. So would you want to move from that number 9 position? The other couple options, you've got Leandro Trossard, he played in midfield there, probably better on the left, or is it as a false 9 and 2 left field options? Zinchenko has played there for Manchester City. He inverts as a fullback as well, so maybe he could slot in. And Jurgen Timber, this was spoken about in pre-season as well. Timber and Arteta spoke about the possibility of Timber playing in midfield. It's something he's done for Ajax, but bearing in mind his lack of minutes for Arsenal since joining the club, that would feel like a bit of a risk. So there are options there, but of course no options as good as Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice. Definitely not. I just wonder whether this, it's going to be a big challenge this for Arsenal, and the fact that he's signed so many players though that can play in different positions. This is where you need it, isn't it? You mentioned their Timbers, Zinchenko, these are guys in the defenders too. They can all play in different positions. And under Mikel Arteta, an Edu-19 of Arsenal's signings, of the 25 signs they've made, have been either goalkeepers, defenders, or defensively minded midfielders, so they've always been so desperate to ensure the foundation is there. Ben White played it in holding midfield when he leads, so I don't think he'll be looking at that now, but there are plenty of options there. But I think when you do have those superstars like Declan Rice, who can play as a number 6, as a box-to-box midfielder, as well as Martin Odegaard, who is virtually irreplaceable, then it is going to be difficult to find those options there. The one thing you would say is the Spurs midfield isn't necessarily that settled at this moment in time. You're not looking at that thinking that Arsenal will be overrun in that midfield. Without those two players, it means already at the start of this season, the concern for Arsenal fans will be after dropping points against Brighton, with Manchester City playing Brentford on Saturday. Arsenal going to that North London derby 5 points behind Manchester City heading into that game, so it already will feel like a must-win game, and you can see the fixtures that Martin Odegaard could potentially miss, the fixtures where Mikel Arteta may be looking to find those solutions. Atalanta away in the Champions League coming up, Manchester City away on September the 22nd. We're desperate to have Martin Odegaard back for that. And then you have more favourable ties in the EFL Cup and at home to Leicester. But then he'll be desperate to have a full complement of players there for the PSG game at home, the Emirates, on the 1st of October. Already it feels like there's a few question marks around his Arsenal team, mainly due to this availability issues. Well, thanks. Now I've seen the fixtures, I'm worried about them. Yeah, no, it's be fine. But yeah, it's not good timing though, is it? It's not, you'll be all right, you'll be okay. Well, you can see if they're going to be all right, because the North London derby will be the first of a Super Sunday double. The header all kicks off from 1 o'clock in the Premier League,